Hi there, this is Toby Green and you're listening to The Green Room with Tom Green and Jacob Gaynor. Stay tuned.
Oh, coffees for a week for that, mate.
Tom, episode 11. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you, Jacob. How are you?
Very well, very well. How was your... We'll start with Mother's Day before we get into the game.
Most important day of the year, you could argue.
Absolutely. How was your Mother's Day?
My Mother's Day was absolutely lovely. Rebecca McGowan, our sort of logistics manager over at the footy club, was kind enough to let me stay an extra day in Melbourne. So Mother's Day was obviously the day after we played Essendon, and my mum was down and she came to the game. So I was able to stay an extra day down in Melbourne and spend the day with her. So we went out to brunch with one of my brothers. We went to the Hampton Bakery in Hampton in Melbourne. It was absolutely beautiful. It was a lovely day in Melbourne. It was just nice to spend the day with Mum. I think she appreciated it. I hope she did. But yeah, it was nice to see her and celebrate her on that day. What about yourself?
Yeah, didn't have the didn't have what you had, mate. I just gave Mum a FaceTime and a text message. My brother and sister were back home though, so they treated her, and yeah, I had to transfer my sister for a present, which was grim.
Yep. So you'll have to pay some dues next time you're back.
I will be paying dues, yeah. But you also didn't mention that you were also with your lovely grandmother.
Yep.
I met her on
you did too,
Friday.
Yes, Marilyn, my mum's mum. Yep.
Lovely lady,
So,
big fan of the podcast.
Yeah, she is actually. Yeah, it's great to shout her out. Actually, shout out to Mum. She's it was nice to have her at the game, and it was a nice day to celebrate all of our mothers.
Absolutely. Now you mentioned
shout out to the mums.
Shout out to the mums. You mentioned very, very briefly Essendon.
Yep. And we'll leave it there.
We should. we were speaking of form, and that we don't have it.
We don't have it. We're not playing too well at the minute. You know what they say though. Form is temporary, class is permanent. But
wow.
No, but we are. Yeah, we're not playing that well at the minute. But credit to Essendon as well. Essendon are also a really good side, and we just when they upped the pressure, I think King has sort of spoken about this in his press conference. When they upped the pressure in the game, we didn't go with them. We didn't match it well enough, and they prevailed, and they certainly deserve to win. So there's some lessons that we'll take out of that, and hopefully be able to implement this weekend, but also certainly for the rest of the season.
How do you deal with form slumps? To put it that way, is it something that weighs on you throughout the week, or can you kind of escape a little bit, or what does it do to you?
Well, I suppose there's two levels to that. I mean, in terms of there being like a personal form slump or a team form slump, I think particularly for the thing like a team, I suppose both ways though. You have to understand it's a long season. Like ideally we're going to play something like, 25 or 6 or 7 games this year if you want to make a grand final. So we're playing for more than half the year. We've got buys in there as well, so it's a little bit longer than that. And obviously a long pre-season. There's going to be ups and downs. You can't be up at the peak of your performance for 27 weeks in a row. It's unrealistic to expect that. So you have to have an understanding that you're not going to be feeling 100% or you're not going to be performing at your absolute best each and every single week, but you need to perform at a level that's acceptable and a level that's going to get wins on the board. And at the minute, we're just in a patch where we haven't done that. So it's not through a lack of trying or anything like that. Our training's been really, really good, and we also talk a lot about, I suppose, as a small insight into the playing group and the coaching group, we talk about building for September and being a group that's built for September. So we understand that we're training really hard right now, and there may be a little bit of knocks and a little bit of soreness and some stuff like that where maybe we're not feeling 100% on the weekend, but we understand that it's going to hold us in good stead towards the back end of the year when we need to be peaking and playing our best football. And I think we saw that last year, and we're already, realistically, it's not all doom and gloom at 6-3. We're not playing our best at all. I'm not apologetic. I'm not making excuses about that, and nor is anybody else at the club. But we understand that it's a long season, and if we tidy up a few little things, I'm sure we'll start getting some more positive results pretty quickly.
From, I guess, the low light of the result to the highlight, the Tom Green fan club at Marvel Stadium is a prominent feature. Yeah,
it is. And it has been. I've got to give these guys credit. Shout out to all the guys down in Melbourne who this has been a thing that's running for a few years now. So obviously I'm a little bit embarrassed by it, but I obviously love the support that I get in Canberra with the Tom Green fan club. And people seem to have a really good time there, which I think is the most important thing, having a good time at the football. So for those guys to sort of take that on, I guess, and bring it to Marvel Stadium, those young guys, they rock up every year with that sort of setup going. And I do really, it can be a bit embarrassing, but I also really do appreciate it, and I do feel the love from them. And it is, it's hard not to be really happy and put you, I suppose, at the top of your game when you see guys showing you that sort of support. So I do absolutely, massive shout out to them. I really do appreciate it. And it makes me feel the love, which is obviously fantastic. And you yourself also got a little bit of a lick in there. There's now an In the Green Room graphic poster they have up there as well. So we really are. It seems to just keep getting more posters, bigger every year. More people come along, so it's amazing, and I do love it, as I'm sure you do too now.
Well, is it the Tom Green fan club or In the Green Room fan club?
I think it's still the Tom Green fan club.
Obviously, really embarrassed, man.
But it's growing.
Yeah,
we're taking on members.
Well, Dan Goran's just got a billboard, so we're not far off that, I reckon.
Yeah, we'll build. We'll keep building. It's all about building, as I said, building for September.
Building for September, and September is when we'll have a billboard.
Yeah.
Now, for those that view the podcast, not listen, that view, you will notice that Tom and I are in the fabulous colours of the Arsenal Football Club. Tom in the vintage yellow, myself in the somewhat vintage now 2015 kit. Thanks to our sponsors Puma on brand.
And Sega.
Now, Tom, do you want to enlighten our listeners and viewers into why you're wearing Arsenal kit?
Yep, I'll happily inform them. So you and I had a little bet before I sort of walked out to the ground before the Swans game, which obviously didn't have too much to say that day. But
skip that.
Yeah, one of the things that I did have to say was you and I were walking out on the ground just having a little look, and you were trying to tell me, the game's sold out. There's going to be a big crowd in today. And I thought, there'll be a pretty big crowd. But I feel like there's always decent crowds. But it ends
up raining as well.
Yeah, but it ends up being, 20-something thousand. It's going to be massive. And you're like, nah, I think it's going to be, sold out, nearly 40. It's going to be over 35 definitely. And I said, let's make a bet. Let's make a friendly little wager that if it was, I think it was under 30, then I was correct. And the wager was that the loser had to wear something on the podcast of the winner's choice, and it ended up being over 40,000. And so the line was between, if it was under 30, I was successful. You would have to wear something that I told you to. If it was over 35, you were right. And if it was in between, we just
called it,
shook hands and parted ways. But it was over 40, so I was off by a long way. You told me you won the bet, you got it right, and here I am decked out in Arsenal kit. Because obviously we know you are a diehard Arsenal fan, which I think, considering the predicament they're in, it's pretty bold of you to put me in Arsenal stuff.
Well, they're going to win the title this week, which is pretty crazy.
See, that's the thing. I'm not sure they are.
They will. My man Ange Postecoglou gets the job done. In all seriousness, I don't think City chop points. But I could have been a lot meaner to you as well.
Yeah, you
think
certainly
I've been
could have.
very nice.
No. I'll give you credit. You definitely could have. I thought there was potential for me to be sitting here shirtless, or
you wouldn't want to know what crossed my mind, but there was a lot of ideas. I had a Richmond kit just to promote that you'll never be wearing it for Richmond
Tassie
fans.
Devils kit.
I tried to get, no joke, I looked into getting a Tassie Devils kit. So I won't say Arsenal's my second choice, but it wasn't first. A Swans jumper. There was a limited. Unlimited amount of options.
You certainly had a lot, but no, I'm actually pretty happy to be an Arsenal kid, so I appreciate it. It's a cool jersey. This one is a cool, and I think this quick shout out to Tom Highmore. Is that right?
This is Tom Highmore's. I think it's old Tom Highmore's. I don't think it fits him anymore.
I was going to say Tom has similar enough dimensions to me that I think that this wouldn't fit him that well.
But
he's not quite as broad, but
sliding. He'll appreciate it.
Is he an avid listener?
He's an avid listener, and he's a massive Gunners fan.
Okay.
So he'll be pretty chuffed with that.
Perfect.
Now, before we get into our special guest, and it's a great guest, as we say every week, but
it's because we keep picking from our playing group, which, by the way, we will expand at some point.
I think episode 1, you said that we were going to go elsewhere, and at the moment we can only get from within. But before we get to our special guest, it's a great conversation that we have already pre-recorded, and before we get to our trending topic, which I might say this week's a ripper.
Don't ruin it. We'll wait and see.
But there's one thing that I was having a think about over the past few days, Tom, that I wanted to put forward and just see if you're on board. Now, I follow a lot of athletes and a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes being Arsenal players and Giants players. And something that I see quite often is them promoting different brands or things on their Instagram story, and you see things like, it's your Gatorade or Puma or whatever it might be. I want to see how far we can take it, that people will believe you're sponsored by something, if that makes sense. So I want you to put something pretty outrageous, maybe just flirt with the line to start on your Instagram story. Special thanks to, I don't know, it could be anything on your Instagram story. And I want to see if anyone bites or anyone goes, wow, this is like pretty cool. I just want to see what happens. It's not great content.
So you're saying
and that's why I'm wasting it on you.
So you're going to say that you're hoping that someone just replies to my story going, oh my God, I can't believe you're sponsored by.
That's the challenge is finding
and
that
I can do whatever.
Like this Arsenal jumper. Put it on my Instagram story and say, thanks to Arsenal for sending it through. Stoked. Like you can take it from a personal perspective. We can take it from a podcast perspective.
Yeah,
Massive thank you to, I don't know, who can sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, well, we can get as outrageous as we like. No, I like it.
And then obviously the only people that will know are our valued listeners. Yeah. So just a challenge for the week. Spice it up.
Yeah, I don't mind it. What if oh no, we'll wait and see about that. Sponsored by a venue, thanks to the Ivy Post.
Could be on. That's what I mean.
You know who we should really actually. I'm not going to give it away. I've got a good idea though. I think I can't guarantee that it'll happen, but it's not a bad idea
for your story.
For who I could say and then actually hopefully try and strike up a connection there, and it'd be pretty handy. But anyway.
Well, that's the other thing. Like this could work in favour of us.
We could end up just like manifesting it effectively into actually.
I'm big on manifesting.
I'm not. But
all right, we're going to get to our guest. So a pre-recorded conversation, but a really important conversation, and it was I found it extremely fascinating and highly educational. We have a very special guest. I won't name him because we name him in the next little introduction that we do.
Yep.
But hopefully you enjoy the chat, and we'll be back following a very, very special guest. Our next guest is one of the most popular characters here at the Giants. Selected by Melbourne with pick 75 in the 2018 NAB AFL draft as a next-generation academy selection, he played 18 games over 4 seasons at the Demons before making the incredibly intelligent decision to request a trade to the Giants. In exchange for pick 44, he joined the Giants and has since become an integral part of the Giants' attack. He's a proud Bunuba man. He's fast, he's agile, and most importantly, he's the next guest on In the Green Room. Please welcome to the show, Toby Snooze Bedford.
Thank you. Good to be here. Yeah, lovely. Thanks, guys.
Now, we've got you on for a very special reason because it's a very significant round for the competition and especially for yourself and the Giants. I guess the first question for you is, what does Sir Doug Nicholls Round mean to you?
It means a lot to myself and I guess, all the players in the AFL to be recognised and, for the racism stuff that's happened in the past to finally, get this recognition. Oh, shit. We can cut that. We can cut that, surely.
we can cut it.
Yeah.
But we won't.
We can leave. Yeah, you can leave it.
We're authentic here.
Yeah, no, but, just to get that, be recognised finally in the AFL as, a group of people, that have come and made a significant impact in the AFL. And some of our players, are the best that ever played the game. And for so long, they were racially vilified in the AFL. But so to finally get this game and recognise us and our culture and just, represent our families as well means a lot to, like I said, us and myself and all the Aboriginal players in the game.
I think one of the coolest components about Sir Doug Nicholls Round is finding out different stories and the backgrounds of different players, and yours is pretty unique. Do you want to go through, I guess, your background and how you came to know so much about it?
Yeah, no worries. So I was born in Fitzroy Crossing. That's where my dad's from, and actually he's from Horse Creek, where my grandfather's from, but that's where my grandmother's from, and that's where I was. Grew up Fitzroy Crossing, and my mum's side's non-Indigenous from the Mornington Peninsula. So when I was about 8, moved down there for schooling, but always had my roots down in Fitzroy Crossing as well. So my family there, I have I'm the youngest of 7, so there's still about 4 of my siblings living in Fitzroy Crossing now. My only brother and 3 of my sisters. So Fitzroy's always been home to me, as well as the Morning Peninsula. But always going back there during school holidays. Just all from a young age, always doing living off land and doing cool stuff on the weekends, like hunting and fishing with my aunties and uncles and cousins and everything like that. So I've been extremely lucky to call that place home and to grow up there as well.
For those that don't know, can you, I guess, go into detail a little bit about just how remote it is? Yeah.
In terms of if we're talking from Sydney, it's to get home for me. It's about 8-hour flight, and then another 3.5 hour drive. So I normally fly from here to Perth to Broome, which is another 3.5 hour flight, and then drive 3 hours into Fitzroy Crossing, which is inland. There's one major grocery store is in the RJ. We call that the Indigenous Gathering Area. RGA there. That's the main grocery store. It's a small town. I can't tell you exactly how many people live there, but everyone knows each other. And then it's basically filled with little communities all surrounding Fitzroy. So, and one of them is called Jundua, where a lot of my family live and where I spent most of my time growing up there as well. So that's about 5 minutes outside of Fitzroy Crossing, and that's where like I said, a lot of my family live right now.
We were just having a look actually before we started recording this as well. It's a beautiful part of the world. Like, I don't know if you want to tell the viewers about it, but it's very idyllic. Like, it's very scenic, and as you said, like a lot of that area, obviously, like country or like remote WA is like very hot, very deserty, but Fitzroy Crossing is like beautiful. Yeah, no, it is. So obviously, the further inland you go, the more deserty you kind of get. But we're on one of the biggest rivers in Australia, the Fitzroy River. So it's beautiful there. It's very green, and the gorge I was showing you before. It's just an unbelievable backdrop. There's literally a wall of rock that goes up, 20, 40 meters high, and then it's just a massive drop into the river. And I took a few boys back there in 2021 when I was playing with Dees and Jaden Hunt and Ed Langdon, and they've got photos as well there, and it just looks unreal. They loved it, and it's a beautiful place to take people and explore as well. Just on your home, and you mentioned your family that's still there. I'm not sure if you've seen the photos, Tom, and I can show you now, and we'll pop them up for our viewers to see. But last year when we made the final series and Toby had come in, and obviously we had the week that was the suspension week and all the drama that entailed. But I guess one of the big focal points for us was the amount of support you have back home is actually ridiculous. And it's not just go Toby. They painted the town orange, and I'm talking cars, banners. Like, I'll show you this, Tom. That's a few of the cars. You can swipe that way. Yeah, a lot of it was my sisters and my aunties. They just painted their cars, because a lot of those cars are their bush cars as well. So but you can drive them around town, but they, it's also just like, we'll just paint them up because it's big. They've done a good job.
Yeah, no, they have.
Very cool.
But they love it. They love supporting it, and the whole town got around it, and they still do to this day. So, they bleed orange out there. Might have to somehow organise running a footy camp out there. We've been trying to with 5th camps. Yeah, we should. Hopefully. Special no promises, but shout out to them. Now, on your background, you're obviously a big advocate in this space, but we have another Indigenous boy here at the club, Harry Rowson, who is quite different to you in terms of upbringing and knowing about his Indigenous background. How much pride do you take, I guess, in being that person that can almost educate Harry in what it means to be an Indigenous man? Yeah, no, I think it's extremely important. Obviously, he's always willing to ask and learn as well, and wants to learn. But I think for those people that know that they have some kind of ties to, some Indigenous families, but don't exactly know how and what it is. So for me to help him, and him to learn as well is great, and I'm always willing to help people like that. Just because with my family and my culture, it's something that I'm extremely proud about. And my family, we're all extremely tight, and we may not, see each other or speak to each other that often, but we're always, as soon as we see each other, like click like that. And a lot of Indigenous people will say that, they might not see each other for ages, but when they see each other, it's like nothing's changed. So I think just to have those connections within, your family and your community is always extremely important. So I urge everyone to reach out to, their communities and their families and learn as much as they can, and try and, if you don't know, try and learn as much as you can, because there's always people willing to help and, give you that knowledge as well.
Just for you, Tom, as well. Like, if you're running out, obviously, with Snooze this weekend, and it's such a significant round for him and his family, what do you do in terms of steps to kind of learn a little bit more about the significance of the round, not only for Snooze, but I guess in general?
Yeah, well, I think it's like the best part, or the part I enjoy the most of it, is hearing like these stories, which, I mean, Snooze has told us before, and it doesn't have to just be this week or this round. Like, we hear these stories about home and about his heritage and his culture outside of that, but I think it just helps bring it to the forefront, and it's really good to hear those stories and the way of life, which, is the oldest living culture in the world, and it's stood the test of time, and it is an amazing and beautiful culture. And so learning about it and finding out more about it, I always really, really enjoy. But I think the significance of like Sir Doug Nicholls Round, to myself, obviously a non-Indigenous person, is that, as Snooze alluded to, there's been a lot of racism in this country for a long period of time, and there hasn't been proper recognition of our First Nations people. And so for the AFL to like take that step, I think, and to formally recognise that outside of football, I mean, like, we can go into how much the Indigenous community has given to the game in terms of great players, great people, and that sort of stuff. But just outside of that, I think a bigger picture than that is even just the effect that the Indigenous population has had on Australia as a society, and how white Australia, I suppose, hasn't paid back that faith or that love over a long period of time. I think it's a really important step that the AFL is taking, or has taken now for a few years, and to formally recognise that, I suppose.
Snooze, one other thing I want to talk about is your grandmother. So there's a few little fascinating stories about your grandma that I've discovered, and I'd love you to go into detail. One of those is that your grandmother's dad was named Toby Green.
Yeah, yep. So that's the reason why I'm Toby, who I am. So when I first got to the club, I actually told Tubbs that, but he didn't believe me, and then my mum and dad told him that as well. So he was a bit happy with himself. He was chuffed. He thought it was him. He thought it was him, but it was Toby Green. So I'm actually named after Toby Green.
Wow,
that's the story.
And so Toby Green is your grandmother's dad.
Yeah. So my great grandfather.
But Green spelt the proper way, is that right?
Yeah, it is.
No,
exactly.
on the end.
Yeah,
the proper way.
Green like the colour.
And also on your grandmother, you mentioned
yeah, exactly.
in the green room. You mentioned before we started recording about your grandmother, and she was part of the stolen generation. Can you go into detail about her experience in that story? Yeah,
well, just what we were talking about, I bring up to the boys when I first got to the club, just in terms of Invasion Day and the different outlooks that each of us have on that day. And obviously you have your right to, think of what you want, but I just gave my thoughts on it, and from my Indigenous point of view, and someone that's been affected by those dates in terms of my grandmother not even that long ago. Obviously, she's only, I think, 60, 70 odd, and she's part of Stolen Generation, and her father used to walk from Fitzroy to Derby, I think it was, which is, it's like a 3-hour drive, so, it would take days or weeks even walking. So, for those like little experiences like that, I just wanted to shed light on that for the boys to realise that, for us, those kind of days are pretty tough, and that's why we call it Invasion Day as well. And but like I just wanted to touch on that when I was speaking to the boys earlier, to just show as well that a lot of people might not realise like the effect that it has on people and how close it can be to people. A lot of people know that they might know an Indigenous person and think, they don't like this day, they call it Invasion Day, but they're not like really knowing the reason why. And that's why I wanted to tell those boys that day that I'm not just being bloody salty just because, well, technically I am being salty, and fair enough, but like I'm giving like the reason, the background, and explaining to the boys why, which I think helps them as well. So that they're just going, they're not thinking, they're not looking at it with no background information. So like now they're knowing my story, they're probably gone far out. That's hits a bit closer, and we didn't realise how recent all that stuff is as well.
I know you briefly touched on it, Tom, but what does it mean to probably you individually when Toby gets in front of the group and really gives the day context?
Yeah, well, it's just not. It's really important, I think, and I think first of all, it's really like a courageous and important thing of Snooze to do, like to be able to get up in front of us and talk about something that is such a sensitive topic. And I think Snooze also, which I don't know if he's ever considered within himself, but he has two perspectives. So obviously, your mum, has non-Indigenous heritage, but your father is Indigenous. So you've got those, I suppose, those two different perspectives on it. But I think it is only, when I say there's only one perspective really, in that we sort of talked about before, no other country celebrates the day that they were invaded. Every other country celebrates their Independence Day from colonisers or, invaders or whatever it is. And for some reason, Australia still celebrates the day that we were invaded. So I think you said it as well, which I think is there needs to be a day to celebrate us as a nation, but I don't think the date's the right day.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was just touching on, and I was trying to give like I said, a bit of shed a light on how close it is for me and my family, which is why we don't enjoy that day. But obviously, like I said, Australia's we've done a lot of great things as a country, so there's definitely needs to be a day, just not that day. But yeah,
no, I think it's an important talking point. Sorry, but I know we don't have you for very long. None of our guests have a lot of time for us, Tom.
A safe space for us to actually.
Absolutely. But one thing I do want to talk about, and we were speaking about it before we pressed record, but one of your favourite things about going home every off season is the hunting and the fishing component.
Yeah.
What do you love so much about it, and can you give us some insight on what you're hunting?
Yeah, no, of course. I just from a young age, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Fitzroy Crossing until I was about 8, and my earliest memories is all I was doing was going out hunting and fishing with my aunties and uncles, and coming to Victoria, actually, like when I first got to Victoria and started schooling there, we went down to school to get a better education and stuff like that, and when I first got there, I actually got held down because they couldn't understand me. Speak with my English. Really? Yeah, they couldn't understand me when I first got down there, so I got held down. This is like year 1 or 2. But I was the only one that got kept down just because, like, all I was doing back home was like being at bush, learning with my aunties and uncles and my cousins and stuff, and just fishing and stuff. So we there's a barramundi fishing. We do a lot of that. And then in terms of hunting, we love going for goanna and just unreal. Hunting, shooting, all of it.
This might be really naive, but what does goanna taste like?
Well, it's a white meat actually, so a lot of people say it's a little bit like chicken, which it is kind of, but it's a bit fattier, a bit tougher as well. It's like I don't even know how you explain it. It's tough meat, but it's a white meat and it's bloody good meat.
Yeah. Fattier means yummer.
Yeah, it's so good. But it can be quite juicy as well.
Well, I know Toby Green, the Giants player. I know Toby Green, the Giants player, is pretty keen and a big advocate to get some of the playing group and staff to Fitzroy Crossing. I think it would be such a beneficial experience. And I know from a media perspective, I'll be leading the charge to to be on that travelling trip. But Snooze, thank you very much for coming on and giving us a little insight into what the round means to you and your family. Hopefully,
should we touch on the sorry before we go, the boots?
We probably should.
Yeah,
it's actually a great
cool.
shout.
Yeah, I just thought
they're sitting right here,
right in front of us.
Well, I guess.
So that's yours, is that right? That's yours.
That's mine.
That's mine right there, and that's Connor Iden's Seekers, and they're unbelievable designs.
Yeah.
I mean,
so for those that don't know, we've had a competition running, and Tom, Toby, and Connor Iden will be wearing some special boots this weekend against the Bulldogs. Do you guys want to explain your own boots? There will be videos coming out throughout the week on Giant social channels, so I'll plug that, so go have a look.
Yeah, I think, I'll talk about Seekers just very, very briefly, which I think I love his.
Yeah, I love
it's just the Indigenous flag, obviously, for our viewers who can see it. His boot is mainly black and red with the yellow sun in the middle, but what I really like to touch, which is really cool, is paying homage to his heritage, with the black star on the back. Obviously, the Ghanaian the Black Stars, that's their soccer team. So, like, it is just his boot is obviously super significant, and I think the way that he's able to recognise, Indigenous culture and everything on his boot, but as well as his own heritage, I think is really well designed. I'm speaking on his behalf.
He loves it as well.
It's so cool.
It is
It's a
really
simple
cool.
design, but it's unreal.
It is. This one's mine here was designed by Jordan Toogood, I believe, and his design is amazing. Like mine's, we've got the river on it. Again, it's hard to see. You can't if you can't see it. It's very hard to describe because it's intricately designed, and so
Absolutely.
I don't think I would do it justice, but I think it pays reference to the land that we're on here in Western Sydney, right near the river, and the detail on it is absolutely amazing, and I'm super honoured and proud to be wearing it, and I can't wait to run out there this weekend with it.
Snooze?
Yeah, and I had young Xavier do mine. He's only about 13 years old, but he's done an unbelievable job. He's actually incorporated my, side of the family and where I'm from, and Fitzroy Crossing with the rivers and everything like that, but also just the Giants meeting ground where in my path getting to the Giants. So he's kind of done it, directly for me as well. He did a bit of research as well, which I really appreciate. I can't wait to wear these. These are unbelievable.
And just finally, not only will you boys, of course, be representing in boots, but we have unveiled a brand new Indigenous jumper.
Looks amazing.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think we got the best in the comp.
Facts.
Not biased, but
Yeah, not
True.
biased, but like it is.
We've got the best
100%
kids in the comp.
Yeah, we
well,
don't miss.
No doubt.
Don't miss
Facts.
with.
We don't miss. No doubt, it's an exciting weekend, and I'm pretty excited to see how everything goes. I'm pretty excited to see you boys run out in those boots as well.
It'll be good.
But yeah, Snooze, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
for coming
Thanks
Thanks,
for having me.
Snoozy.
It was good.
Yeah, good.
We hope you enjoyed the chat with none other than Toby Snooze Bedford. Tom, how did you find that experience?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, Snooze is obviously, it was fantastic to have him on and provide a great perspective. As I said, I think he has a really unique perspective. He's got obviously the two sort of different backgrounds to look at it from, and he provides great insight. Fitzroy Crossing, by the way, sounds like an unbelievable part of the world. It is something that I would love to be able to go and see if it worked out, or if that's something that we could organise. It's just an amazing part of the world and so unique, and it looked unbelievable, and I thought Snooze spoke really well.
Very, very well. He's he's one of the greats, one of the great characters of this football club, and I find it so fascinating learning about his background as well. And obviously, it's pretty unique for someone at this club to know that much about their background. I know, like we spoke about, Harry Rowson is still obviously learning a little bit about his background, and no doubt we'll get Harry on at some stage to talk about his story. But we're going to move on to trending topic, Tom's trending topic.
And a little button hit potentially to shuffle in between segments. Hit the button.
All right.
Yeah, so Tom's trending topic of the week is gonna get hijacked by yourself, Jacob. You've come to me during the week and you've said, Tom, I have something so important and something that I'm so passionate about that I'm hijacking your segment and I'm making it Jacob's trending topic this week.
Well, and I've been told by the higher ups to not get emotional.
No
and
guarantees.
to contain myself. But last week it was brought to my attention that a certain somebody said something about the football club. And
We're going to name names here, or are we just going to
we'll drop a name.
Yeah, go on.
Well, should we play the clip first and then I'll introduce?
Yeah,
so
sure.
this was sent to me last week. I don't think you've actually listened to this yet, have you, Tom?
No, I haven't listened to the whole thing. I'm familiar with what it is, but I have not listened to the whole thing.
All right. So have a listen and then we'll discuss.
Yeah, look, if I'm Adam, I'm walking into the media department, I'm walking in the executive and saying enough's enough. Our football is good enough now. And it's interesting the contrast between, I think, Brad Scott at Essendon when we talk. Now, they're different things, like the Draper conversation about Luke Beveridge. But it's time for Adam and the Giants to let their football speak for itself. Because if you get caught up in this garbage that they're doing at the moment, I don't think it does anything for your brand. Yeah, it's funny, but it's a credibility piece for me.
So that is the voice of former or Swans premiership coach Paul Roos via the ABC. And that was following the Sydney Derby, in which I won't be shy in saying that the Giants had a lot to say that week.
By the Giants, again, of course, we mean you.
I did the talking.
Oh, sorry, you know what, actually? I'll take back what I said. Slammer called them smug, so
Yeah, thank you.
It wasn't just you.
That certainly
We saw
didn't
that
help.
how that worked out for us.
Yeah, it may have backfired, but I think you've got to put yourselves out there. But no, those comments, they irked me. Really irked me.
Yeah, so go on. Let's hear about it.
So I've got some stats, I've got some data, I've got some talking points. Tom, you can probably turn your mic off here. I'm going to go ham. No, seriously, you can add a question if you like. No, but so Paul Roos, obviously, he's done a bit for the game in New South Wales and the Swans Footy Club.
Do you want my initial thoughts when I heard that clip?
Please.
Okay, boomer.
Oh, we just found our clip for the
Anyway,
week.
we'll elaborate. I'll elaborate on that a little bit later, but continue.
No, so Paul Roos, as we know, a former Sydney Swans coach, coached the Melbourne Demons in 2014 to 2016. And I might add that since Paul Roos was a senior coach, the landscape of the AFL and AFL media has changed pretty dramatically, I think. So no longer are clubs, in terms of their media teams, we're not just here to update supporters on team news, game details, or a birthday post. I think media teams are now a tool for the clubs, especially clubs like the Giants and the Gold Coast Suns. I think they're a great avenue and a great tool to banter with opposition clubs, players, and I think most importantly, obviously, supporters. And our job, my job specifically at the Giants, is, in my position, is to grow the game in a market who might not have many touch points with the AFL, with the game in general. And, it's essentially to reach new audiences. And our club's kind of ethos is to be a club like no other, and I think that's what we try and do in every capacity, not just the media team. So for Roosie to come out and say that it does nothing for our brand, it's garbage, to be fine, he's a boomer, mate. He's wrong. He's completely wrong.
It's ignorant and it's an uninformed
It's
opinion.
uninformed, and I think the market that he was in while he was at the Swans to our market is so dramatically different that he couldn't comprehend it, I think. I think that our social media strategy and the memes and the funny garbage content, I just don't think, I don't think it could be further from the truth with what he's saying. I think he just doesn't understand the market that the Giants are and the Giants are in, whether that be Western Sydney, New South Wales, Canberra. So for us in the last 12 months alone, with this strategy of being the funny, lighthearted content, producing that content, we sit in the grand landscape of the AFL. We are second in growth on platforms on Facebook. We're first on Twitter and first on Instagram, right? So what we're doing is working from a growth perspective. And I think what we're doing is creating change. And I think now we're at a position where we're seeing other clubs follow suit. And I think that the clubs that aren't doing it are going to fall behind because it's no longer just a news avenue. I think it's so much more than that. I think brands need to have a personality. I think it's engaging, it's funny, it's relatable. So, yeah, I just think he doesn't really understand it. Like, our memes alone this year, since the year started, have over 15 million impressions. Like, that's a massive number. That's a massive number. So, yeah, I think our social media perfectly aligns with the brand. I think it perfectly aligns with the club. But I also think it's such a new way of doing it. And for us, we obviously aren't we're not dictated by what Kingers wants or Adam Kingsley thinks is right for the club, but he is such a massive part of what we do. And I think that the support we've had from him, and he kind of he's a new coach. He's not from that old school era where he can fully understand what it does for our club as a brand. It gets our name out there. It, engages people and new audiences, which is essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to grow a football club. But I just don't think Paul Roos understands that at all.
You've been very measured there, Jacob. You've been incredibly measured. I think another few points that I'll just make about, so Kingers has obviously been massive on growing the game in New South Wales, and you've got to use every single tool you can to do that. Social media is a massive tool, an important tool, and you use it really well. As you've just you have statistics to back you up. This is not an opinion piece where you're saying, "Oh, I think I do a good job." No, I have numbers to back up the fact that I am doing a good job. You're also right about other clubs are following suit, and I think that's enough of an indicator in and of itself that that's the way that this is going, and that's the way that. You look at American sporting teams also do the same thing. So I don't see why this is something. It's not like it's something that's just completely unique to us, and we're the only ones doing, and it's completely come from left field and doesn't work. It's worked clearly for us. It works for other teams, and other teams are following suit. I think the other important one that you mentioned there is it's a strategy, and it's a conscious decision made by the social media department and our front office in terms of this isn't just that Zelly gave you the login and you go rogue every now and then and it sort of just flukes and works. Like everything is crafted and it's thought about, it's thought out, it's well planned, and it's well executed. So like it's not, by accident this has come about. It works really well, and the numbers, as I said again, back it up. And I know I made a joke before, obviously, about Paul, and he's, he was a superstar player. He's obviously a fantastic coach as well. I by no means do I want to be disrespectful to him, but it is just, social media is just a different thing now. It's a different tool. And I think, most AFL fans as well would agree with what you're saying, that the Giants do it the best in the comp. You do it the best in the comp. And it works. It was a good business pitch by you, by the way, though. The way you're doing it, the pitch, you sold it to me.
Well, I'm trying to remain level-headed here, Tom. But one question I have for you on social media in general is, obviously, we listened to Paul's comments at the start, but when the club comes out, and we're not shy in our approach, like, we approach that Sydney derby with some things to say. And were they cheeky? Yes. And that's just our brand. And I think that's what works. Does it work for every other club? No. And I know we have an audience and capacity to do things that other clubs can't or won't, because they have those large traditional audiences that you're not going to be able to deal with. But how do you feel?
I kind of disagree with that, but anyway, yeah.
Well, we can come back to it.
Yeah.
But how do you feel from a player's perspective when, obviously, it didn't help that Sam Taylor came out and called him smug. But how do you feel from a playing perspective if, like, the media team's stirring a pot? Like, for example, before opening round against Collingwood. Yeah.
Do you want to know what I honestly, I don't know what everyone else thinks. I personally, when I say couldn't care less, I know what Paul was trying to say there as well, about it, potentially affecting your brand of football and playing this, that, whatever. I don't think about it as in you can do whatever you want, but I feel like that sort of stuff is basically for you to engage fans in social media and hopefully engage the other team's social media team, so there's a bit of back and forth, and people, when they scroll Instagram or Twitter, they can see it and it's pretty funny, share it around, whatever. But I don't think it really affects either playing group. I think, the way that we go into the game is not dictated by, oh my God, I've got to back up Jacob Gainer's comments, or like I've got to back up our Instagram team going at, the Swans or whatever. Like we go out, we're professionals, we go out there and have to do a job. Irrespective of what you say, and I don't think it really affects it that much. So all it does is bring fans to the game, bring fans to our club, and so I think it's a fantastic tool that you use really well.
Well, thank you. We'll leave it there because I could talk about it all day, and I think I've said enough that I won't get myself in trouble.
No, I think, like I said,
which was that's the goal.
Yeah, credit to you. I think you were quite level-headed, more level-headed than I actually thought you might be.
We'll talk when the mics are away. All right. Well, our next segment is one that I didn't see returning. But on Friday night, I was at ETU Stadium supporting Port Melbourne, where Tom's brother Josh plays, and Tom Highmore as well, who we'd already given a shout out. Was watching them. Tom was at the hotel elevating his foot, apparently, according to your mum.
Yep, I was.
Nice. I just think he didn't want to get around the cold and support
No,
his brother.
I love getting around the borough, but no, I had some things to do to get ready for the game.
Obviously worked.
Yeah, I was
But ASMR is back. So
back, baby. Let's go.
what do you got for us, Thomas?
Everybody's favourite segment is back. I get so many messages every single week with suggestions and you've got to bring it back. You can't let Jacob win. Oh, this, that, whatever. So
That's
moaned
your
into
own
the
thoughts.
mic. So I'm back. I am back. I've got a little film camera here and I'm just about to wind up this little thing here. Obviously the piece of film, and then I'll take probably a photo of you, but we'll let the listeners hear that because I think that's going to sound really good in the mics. I still need to get some. Do any in the green room listeners want to send me zip ties? Feel free to send zip ties to One Olympic Boulevard.
Do you know how expensive zip ties are?
Yeah, they're cheap as, but I'm just saying
This is lazy.
really seeps to
It's
go
lazy.
get them and I can't find them. So if anyone wants to send those in so I can use zip ties,
It's also quite a weird item to just go get by themselves.
yeah, and then all of a sudden I have 1,000 zip ties. What do I do with them all?
All right. So does anyone have one zip tie they can send to the
just
club?
send some zip ties in, all right? Anyway, so this is going to be this week's ASMR section. I might have to do it twice just to so we get a good listen of it. But yeah, here it is. I'm about to crank it up. So it's back, baby. Here we go. Smile, Jacob.
Nice.
Oh, that's kind of. I probably should put the flash on. I'll do that next time. Anyway, I'll
all
go
right.
one more time here.
Why are you winding it so slow?
Because I think people want to hear it like that. There we go.
Definitely blinked.
That one will come out
That
classy,
was
I
actually
think.
all right.
I think it sounds good. You can hear the springs clinking up and like.
Well, I'm biased on this one because I'm an avid photographer, so that's actually that tickles something in me. But
I think listeners are really going to enjoy this one. Actually, I think they are.
I can't. Yeah,
You don't like the segment? That's fine, mate. The people love it, and that's
the
what
people love
matters.
it. One of the questions that we got sent in was when's ASMR coming back?
Are we about to do questions as well?
We'll do
Excellent.
song questions and then finish with the poem, and then we're done.
Sure. Sounds
right.
good to me, man.
Ready?
Yep.
Song of the week. What have you got for me?
Alrighty. So well, you know what? This is one of my favorite segments. So I'm gonna go with a song of the week and then also an album of the week that I want people to listen to, which I'm loving at the minute.
Okay.
So my song is called "Love Was Really Gone" by Makoto Matsushita. He's a Japanese artist, and I think this is from. I don't want to guess and get it wrong.
What kind of style of music?
It's from the 80s. It is 80s. It's like can I play a small bit? Do you want,
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to listen to it? Here we go. So it's groovy, it's funky.
It's elevator music.
Yeah. No, it's not elevated
That's
music.
elevated
But it's a
music.
bit nicer than that. Like there's more
It's
to
classy.
it. And then again, the lyrics are really nice too.
When are you listening to that?
In the car all the time. I listen to it when I want
Really?
to chill out. Yeah, it's I'm telling you, listen to it. You should, like I said, Love Was
I'll
Really
listen to it on the way home.
Love Was Really Gone by Makoto Matsushita. It's a lovely song. It's beautiful. He's got some other good songs too, but that style of music, coming out of Japan in the 80s, I don't mind some of it. It's actually really, really nice. So that's my song of the week. Love Was Really Gone by Makoto Matsushita. And my album that I want everyone to listen to, this is only because, again, I am a big rap fan.
There we go.
Yeah, no, this is just going to be brief. I'm not going to name any songs off it, but One of One by Gunna. But it's spelt one, obviously like the number one of, and then one is W-U-N, One of One. And it's by Gunna. He released it last week, and I love just about the whole album. It's amazing. Smooth beats, sick flows over it like Gunna has. I recommend everyone listens to it.
My song of the week you won't like, I don't think. I Had Some Help, Post Malone, featuring Morgan Wallen. It is...
Is it country?
It's it's country. I'd say it's country. Country pop, but it's country.
Yeah.
They were teasing the song for a long time. I'm a massive country fan. I'm a massive Post Malone fan. and it just is so good.
So it ticks a lot of
It
boxes
ticks
for you.
all the boxes. And
Yeah.
Post Malone just has such a unique voice that, like, if you see me at the traffic lights, you know what I'm listening to.
Really?
Because I don't know about you, but if there's a song that comes out and I really like it, I'm smashing the replay button.
Nah, I hate that. I can't.
Really?
do
I can listen to it.
Nah.
Like, I live, 40 minutes from the club? I could listen to it the whole way home.
Surely not.
I can. And you start to learn the words better, and then you start to get the choreography down pat, and then it's a concert. in the car.
I haven't. You know what? And this can be even. You know what? I'm taking over a small trending topic. I have an issue with people who listen to songs like that. Billy Clark does that. Is who I
On
live
repeat?
with. Yeah, and he's ruined songs for me. He ruins songs because when you listen to it over and over and over again, it just the dopamine hit that you're chasing. You get that massive hit all that time back to back, and you just can't get it back, and it ruins a song. You can't listen to music that way. It ruins it. And I know so many people who do that. Does my head in. Absolutely ruins it. You can't be doing it. But anyway.
Got it off your chest?
Yeah, just about.
Oh.
Anyway, that's our song recommendations for the week. Also, to our listeners, our viewers, feel free to send us song recommendations if you like.
That's a great shout.
Put me on.
I'd also love to get some song recommendations in, and we can give it a listen to live on the podcast.
Yeah, and let us know what we
Get a
think.
reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Let us
evolving.
know. Put me on.
Okay, we're getting to questions. You ready?
Yes, sir.
A massive thank you to everyone that sent through the questions. There's actually a fair bit here. We obviously don't have time for all of them, Tom, because there's a very important poem we've got to get to,
Sure.
which is teaser, not my best.
It'll
So
be marked accordingly.
let's get to a couple of questions. Do you want serious questions, bad questions?
Hit me with it all. Hit me with whatever you want. Hit me with your best shot.
So this is from Benjamin Rocco. Who's a better cook, Tom Green or Jake Riccardi?
Well, I'll give it to Ricca. I don't think
Really?
we did a draftee cooking challenge in our first year, which I won, which means I'm also better than
What's
Lockie
that,
Ash
4
as
or
well.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's move on.
No, but I'm just saying, like, there's, the only
Desperate.
the only quantifiable, judgment we have, I won. I'll give it to Ricca. Ricca's a good cook. I think I'm a reasonable cook as well. I think I have a reasonable understanding of flavor and, palates and balancing all that sort of stuff. But, I'll give it to Ricca.
Okay. This is a great question from Liam Ryan. When is the Giants basketball team with Bucks and Tom being picked on the podcast?
Yeah,
Next week.
yeah.
I've promised.
We'll get him back because that is something that we need to talk about. The soccer one was obviously a massive success, we'll get Bucks back on, particularly with the NBA playoffs in full flight right now.
I
We'll get that picked.
thoroughly enjoyed this question. I don't think Lockie Whitfield listens to the show.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But from Jacob Brock, Lockie Whitfield plays the UEFA Champions League anthem after a goal. But as a Liverpool man, shouldn't it be the Europa League? It's a great point. It should be. That's not
Yeah,
a question.
I'd
I think it's a swipe, but I like it.
Yeah, we can give him the feedback.
What else can we do, Tom? There's a fair bit here.
Well, wasn't you have one written down, didn't you? Or
I do. Okay, so
was there one written down? Or
there's a couple written down.
oh, really?
I was just going through Instagram first.
Yeah. Any others there or?
Let's do 3 more.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Liam Tatiana,
Yes.
avid listener.
Yeah.
Hey lads, I'm single. Any advice? Well, coaches don't play.
I don't know. Is it?
What advice?
I always find these ones are always funny though. Is it wise to ask the 2 single guys on?
But we're single by choice.
That's true. That's
Just
true.
not our choice.
I think here's actually a good bit of advice.
If you're going to steal mine, I'll be
No,
cut.
I actually have no idea. Well, you can go first. I don't know what your bit of advice is.
Mine
Go.
was what I told you before, the Instagram thing.
I wasn't going to say that. Feel free to though. Feel free to put
No, you
people
go
on game.
first. You go
No,
first.
You got to gatekeep information like
Yeah,
that. Don't let
okay.
people use that one.
Yeah, I
use
actually
that one.
Really,
Anyway,
I can't release my secrets. You go, Tom.
no. What I was going to say is to Liam. My advice for you, Liam, is you've just got to be really comfortable with yourself first, because I think that if you, as they say, if you go to the grocery store hungry, you're going to buy things you don't need because you're going in the wrong mindset. So I think that you need to be really comfortable with who you are. You need to be comfortable with yourself. You need to be comfortable in your own skin. And you need to be happy by yourself, I suppose. And that's how you know you've found the right person, because you don't have a need for them. You don't have anything like that where you feel like they need to fill something within you or anything like that. You're content with who you are, how everything's going, but someone comes along and makes your life just that little bit better. So that's what I'm looking for, I think.
There you go. There's a bit of a...
That's
double barrel advice. And also don't go shopping on an empty stomach.
No, but it's the same sort of thing, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a good analogy.
Don't you think that's good advice though? I think
it's up
true.
there with the best you've given.
That's why I think, you know, whenever that lovely lady comes around for me, I feel like I'll be comfortable with who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I don't feel like I've got any holes in me that need filling. I think I'm just, you know, whenever someone comes along and makes my life great, I'll be ready for it.
Cute. Are you looking, Tom?
Well, like you said, I don't think going looking is the right term for it. Is it really? If you're looking for it, then again you might find something, you know, you think you need but you don't. I don't think you should look for it. I think you should let it come to you.
All right, we're going to end on one more question, and this one's a bit more serious. Not that wasn't a serious question.
Well, I didn't give serious advice. Yeah.
This is actually a really good question from AFC Giants. How good is it being back on the home ground this weekend, and what is the impact of playing away so often?
Yeah, it is fantastic. I mean, as much as we do love Canberra, it is still you know, a game we have to travel to. So being on the road for such a long period with, you know, the Easter show and that sort of stuff, it can be hard. It can be taxing. So it is just really nice to be back in front of a home crowd on a ground we're familiar with. You get to sleep in your own bed the night before, all that sort of stuff. It does contribute and it does really help. And it's just nice to be able to play in front of our fans again, because we know how important they are for us and how much they mean to us. And, you know, when we're away for such a long period and they don't get to see us, it can be, you know, it doesn't feel fair to them. So it's nice to be back. And I absolutely love playing on NG Stadium. So I'm really looking forward to getting back out there.
Well, this is a bit of a follow-up question just from me, but I think people would be interested. What differs in your approach from an away game to a home game? So if you're, and like, talk me through from the night before up until the game, what's a little bit different?
Well, the only things for mine that are just different is just traveling the day before, whereas, you know, you get more time. Like the day before the game, I can go to the beach. Normally we're on a flight and checking into a hotel and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, the actual day of the game, they're not really too different, other than, you know, when you can just do it at home. When you're playing at home, you can do it by yourself, like go for a walk or whatever in the morning, whereas when we travel away, you do it as a team. So there's a few slight differences. To be honest, though, part of the way that we schedule our week and our high performance department does things is so that they aren't too dissimilar, so you can get in a good routine and it all feels pretty much the same. But yeah, you just get, I suppose, more time to yourself. And as I said, being able to sleep in your own bed the night before a game is nice.
What's your game day routine? Because you're an avid nap.
Yeah, swear by it.
Really?
Yeah.
How long's the nap?
Well, it depends on how I'm feeling. So, like, for instance, the weekend just gone, I always generally give myself 2 hours. Like, I give myself a really good hit if I want 2 hours, but I would have slept for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, absolute max. The weekend just gone. I was tossing and turning, didn't really. I'd slept well enough the night before and during the week clearly that I wasn't really that tired. But sometimes I'll have I'll pretty much sleep that whole 2 hours and wake up and be like, oh, and just be ready to go.
I like it. Well, yeah, thank you very much for your questions. We will get to some more next week. I actually really like that segment.
Yeah, it's good. We need to do more.
Opens
Keep sending
up.
them through in the green room, listeners, please.
Yeah. So if you have any more questions, drop them wherever you see the podcast, and we'll be sure to answer them next week. And it's time for the poem.
Not your best, apparently. Let's hear it.
It's not my best. Here we go. So obviously it's been a big day. I had to prep for the Toby Bedford interview, do a little bit of research. So I haven't had a whole lot of time, Tom. Not making excuses.
And anyway,
here we go.
Read it, buddy.
Okay, champ. Tom, it's been a pleasure, but you've had your turn to speak. Now it's my turn. Let's recap the week. Last week on the show, between Tom and I, there was tension. He faked an ankle injury for sympathy and attention. I have an early start tomorrow. I'll be showing signs of fatigue, but I don't really care. Arsenal are winning the league. Responding to Paul Roo's comments was something I had to do. The poor old bloke just hasn't got a clue. I live in Maroubra. This morning I went for a swim. We've had 2 losses in a row. That's pretty grim. For guests so far, we've had Ward, Daniels, Buckley and Seek. Today we had Bedford, ahead of a very special week. These past few weeks around Australia did the Giants roam. Finally, after 9 weeks, we get to play at home. Twilight football against the Dogs, it'll go from light to dark. Let's just hope they lose their bark. Last week, the Dogs kicked an almighty score. The Tigers have certainly lost their ability to roar. Beating the Dogs will be no easy task, but please beat them, Tom. That's all I ask. Finally, a special thank you for coming to our boy Snooze. Seriously, do us a favour, and this week just try not to lose.
Okay, mate.
We're keen to be home again. It's a chance to redeem. Hopefully for the first time in 3 weeks, I get to post a winning meme.
Well done, I suppose, Jacob.
Suppose?
Yeah, I don't know. Like 5, bro. That was mid.
5?
It was mid. It was mid. You know it was mid.
Yeah, it wasn't my best. But, like, do you know what I'm
That
sick
wasn't
of?
bad, but like,
I'm sick of you laughing through it and then go, yeah, 5.
How many winning jokes are you gonna make? Cool, post a meme, bro. The Dogs lose their bark. The Tigers lose their roar. Come on.
What do you want from me? Like, just give me, like, what do you want?
Should one
Every
day
time
I
I go-
write a poem?
You aren't literate enough.
That's
Literate
not
enough.
true.
You're not, mate. You couldn't do a poem.
Wait and see. I'm gonna write one day.
If I took trending topic this week, you should take the poem.
Yeah, well, you didn't tee this up early enough in the week for me. But anyway,
I do it with an hour's notice.
anyway, mate, you got a 5 this week. Mid.
Yeah, no, you know what? It's actually fair. I didn't put enough effort in, and to the viewers and the listeners, I apologise. It wasn't good enough. There was a couple of nice
As long
lines
as you
in there,
understand,
though.
mate.
I think the part about you faking an ankle injury is up there. That was pretty good. I actually had a lot of feedback about the clip we did last week.
Yeah, a lot of people liked it.
A lot of people liked it. Yeah, but that's just the game. But that's all we have time for. It's I've actually thoroughly enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, it has been a good one. It's been fun.
Been great
You're
fun.
surprisingly fun sometimes.
I don't know. Who would have thought we liked each other's company? Only when we get paid to do so. Now, yeah, you've already touched on that we're returning to NG Stadium this weekend for the first time in 9 weeks. It's a massive weekend for the club. A really, really special round, Sir Doug Nicholls Round. So make sure if you're not doing anything on Saturday afternoon, get to the game.
Even if you are, cancel it and come to the game.
Thank you, Tom. Needed that. And then feel free to drop us back on Sunday. We have the netball Sydney Derby, Giants v Swifts. It doesn't get much bigger than that.
Certainly doesn't.
That'll be a packed house as well. So you may as well just do the double header. You may as well.
You certainly should.
And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys their week, and I hope we can all celebrate next week. And if I promise you, if Arsenal win the league, I will not be here next week.
Tattoo reveal
Tattoo reveal on the podcast if Arsenal win the league. Man, please.
It's a shame it won't happen.
Please, Big Ange Foster, go. But that's all we've got time for. Tom, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Thank you to our listeners and viewers. Catch us on all major streaming platforms, and we'll see you next week.